Hi, I'm Special Agent Michelle Stevenson with the Omaha Field Office of the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation. We are a federal law enforcement agency that is under the Department of Justice, and I would like to talk to you today about some of the opportunities that we have for future employment and some things that you can do maybe to prepare yourself to be ready for a job like no other. So today I'd like to just very quickly kind of talk about the FBI in general, talk about the different opportunities that we have for college students, for college graduates, and then down the road for folks that have experience and a college education. And then we'll finish up by talking about some of the disqualifiers, things that you could do potentially along the way that might keep you from getting hired. So the FBI's mission is to protect the American people and uphold the Constitution. We are, like I said, we are a federal law enforcement agency. We're responsible for investigating over 300 different federal criminal violations, and we break those violations up by squad and sort of lump the violations together. And we'll talk in a minute about some of the programs that we have here at the FBI that those violations fall under. We also spend a lot of time in our communities. We get a lot of speaker request forms from community groups, civic organizations, religious organizations, asking for us to come out and speak to their groups. And we love to do that because it gives us a chance to really explain to the American people in smaller settings about what we do and how we do it and why we do it, and sometimes more importantly, why we wouldn't do something. So people see something on the news and they're like, I can't believe the FBI is not going to investigate that. But people maybe aren't fully informed on how we do things or why we do things. So we like to try to get out into the community and talk to people and kind of let them know what we do. We also spend a lot of our days working with our state and local and other federal partners. We are spread thin across the United States. There's about 14,000 FBI agents in the world. And so if something happens, it's imperative that as an agent, we are looking to make sure that we have good relationships with our local police departments, our county sheriff's offices, our state patrols, our other federal partners, so that so we can just react to something and we have many partners that can come along with us. So there's four main priorities that the FBI has. The first one is counterterrorism. This has really been our big push since 9/11 to never let an attack like that happen again. We work both international terrorism cases as well as domestic terrorism cases. So if we have someone homegrown that's a US citizen and has been born and raised here and becomes or does something to affect the nation or try to have a terrorist attack, we're looking at those folks as well. We have what we call joint terrorism task forces. These are groups that we have in every single field office across the country. Our first one was started about 40 years ago in New York City, and we've expanded that program now worldwide, really. We have state, federal, local partners that all come together. They're deputized to work federal investigations, and they do a lot of information sharing. So that way we know that what's going on in Arizona, they know about in New York, and they know about in California, and we know about what's going on in Texas because everybody's sharing that information very well. Our second priority is counterintelligence. This is really the espionage mission that we're looking at. So whether it be a US citizen who is stealing from the United States government or from a private sector business, or a foreign national or intelligence officer who is looking to find someone to help them steal US secrets, we're looking on both sides of the fence. This is that traditional espionage that you can think of where people are stealing, military plane drawings for a high-speed jet, or in interesting cases like in Iowa recently, where we arrested some Chinese nationals who were stealing corn seeds of all things. And you might think, oh, it's just a corn seed. But for those of you that know anything about the agriculture business, the agriculture companies spend millions of dollars and thousands of hours of research in an effort to try to put together a really good high yield or drought resistant or pest resistant corn seed. And we had Chinese nationals who were in the production fields in Iowa, literally stealing the corn seeds out of the ground. And the idea would be then they take it back to China, and now China doesn't have to spend all the millions of dollars of research or the thousands of hours of research to try to create that seed themselves. And then they also don't have to buy it from the agriculture company in the US that manufactured it in the first place. So it can cost millions of dollars on the part of the ag businesses. So we look at that as well under our counterintelligence mission as theft of trade secrets. So something that kind of most people wouldn't think about spies when they do, but that's really something that we look at. Two of our most infamous spies would be Alder James. He's pictured in the bottom picture being arrested for spying against the US for the Russians. And then Robert Hansen was an FBI special agent who was also arrested for stealing secrets from the FBI for the Russians. Our third priority then is cybersecurity. This is an ever-growing investigative priority for us. We find that we're really up against a lot of attacks, whether that be something as simple as a fraud case like a romance scam, or a business email compromise case where we have somebody that is fraudulently asking a CFO to wire hundreds of thousands of dollars out of a business. Or it could be a ransomware attack where a bad guy will shut down a city's network, or recently UNMC, and they will hold basically the data hostage until the business pays the ransom. And the other thing that we're seeing are denial of service attacks. We're seeing data breaches. So our cybersecurity folks, our squads that work this, have a case agent that works with our United States Attorney's Office to prosecute those cases. And then we have computer scientists who are looking at the mechanics of how that hack happened. Was there malware put in? How did that person penetrate the network? And then we have forensic examiners who are actually looking at the data loss, what was taken from the business. So we have kind of a three-prong approach that we look at under our cyber cases. When I talked about outreach earlier, our cyber folks spend a lot of time doing outreach. They're trying to encourage people, use two-factor authentication where you can, on your Twitter pages, on your Instagram pages. Enable that two-factor authentication so that a message has to come directly to your own personal device in order for you to access that. It will save people being hacked. We also ask for folks to have one-on-one conversations with their CFOs and their CEOs. So we're really trying to educate the public on how to prevent themselves from becoming a victim of cyber attack. And then our final program is criminal, and this is the one I think most people think about when they think about the FBI. We were founded in 1908, and this was really the bread and butter of what we did prior to 9/11. And you can see on the slide all of the different violations that we work. We are the only federal agency that works public corruption. We're also the only federal agency that works civil rights investigations. And I can tell you, as a matter of policy, we never confirm or deny the existence of an investigation. That is to protect our subject from potentially being maybe maligned in the media or in the public for something that ultimately they may be found innocent of having done, or it is to protect the integrity of the investigation, to make sure that we can ultimately prosecute that person successfully without tainting a jury pool or tainting the public with information prior to a jury trial. We've found, however, recently, especially in the current climate of the United States, that it is important for us to acknowledge civil rights investigations. So in the case of Minneapolis and in the case of Louisville, Kentucky, we have acknowledged to the public that we do in fact have civil rights investigations ongoing to ensure that there is at least a federal review of those cases to make sure that civil rights violations did not occur. So as far as opportunities go for students, we have two. We have the Honors Internship Program. This is a paid, full-time, 10-week summer internship for college students. We do not, generally speaking, consider freshmen, so you would have to be a sophomore, junior, or a senior, as long as you were going to maybe be going to grad school, and you could also be a grad student. You have to be returning to school when the internship ends. So whatever summer you would pick, the key would be that you actually return to school in the fall of that year. The application closes every year right around September 30th. So once you get to college and you are a sophomore, as soon as that school year starts, you're eligible to apply for our internship. It is nationwide in all of our field offices and all of our headquarters components. And you get to really work side by side, see what FBI employees do, both professional staff and special agents. What do we do every day and how do we do it? And learn really about the interworkings of our agency. You can see on this slide, it says we are looking for students from all educational backgrounds and disciplines. So a lot of folks say, well, what kind of degree should I get for the FBI? And I'll tell you, the degree you should get is the degree you love. So think about your favorite classes right now. Think about the ones that you do the best in, or that it's the first piece of homework you do because you love the class. That is the type of degree that you should pursue, because you will do better in that. And ultimately, you could maybe see yourself doing that for the rest of your life. We have a lot of folks that are like, oh, the FBI likes accountants. I'm going to go get an accounting degree, even though I hate accounting. We would much rather that you go and get a degree in something you love, because if you don't pass our background or our interview or our polygraph or whatever piece of the process, you ultimately don't get hired. We don't want you stuck with a degree you didn't want and a future job that you don't want without having gotten something that you really, really love. Because we, again, look for all disciplines, all educational backgrounds. We also then have the collegiate hiring initiative. This is the first sort of entry-level job opportunity that we have for recent college grads or soon-to-be college grads. So this year, the posting closed on September 30th. We were looking for students who graduated from May of 2019 or who will graduate all the way through May of 2021. So we give it usually about a 2-year window for graduation dates from college, but these are for entry-level full-time positions somewhere in the country. And again, we're looking for students from all sorts of backgrounds and educational disciplines. So we have about 37,000 FBI employees around the world. 14,000 of us are agents. I'll talk about that on the next slide. But the remainder, the 2/3 of our staff, are professional staff employees. These are folks who may be contributing to the investigative role, actually out doing casework alongside the agents. In that case, we're talking something like the intelligence analyst or the forensic accountants. Those are folks that are going to be actually assisting with the investigation and helping put that together for prosecution. But at the end of the day, we're a business. And so we are in the business of putting bad guys in jail. So we need folks to administer our $8.9 billion budget. We need real estate agents and architects and engineers to help find space to build our buildings, to then build our buildings. We then have to pay the bills in this building. So we have financial folks who administer that budget from a finance division back at headquarters. I have an FBI car assigned to me as an agent. So we have 2 mechanics in our field office that service those vehicles. Our public affairs folks are the ones running our social media feeds and getting press releases out and talking to the media about us and what we do and how we do it. Our human resources folks make sure everybody gets hired, that their benefits get handled, that they get paid on time. So there's all this back end business kind of side of it that most people don't think of. There's over 700 different jobs underneath the professional staff side of the house. So whatever it is you love to do, whatever you have as your favorite subject or that you could see yourself doing for the rest of your life, it's quite likely we have that role at the FBI. It just isn't something that you sort of see on TV or the news every day. And then our final role is the special agent role. So opportunities to get hired would include being an intern in college, getting hired right out of college, becoming a professional staff employee at some point post-graduation, or the special agent position. For this role, you have to have a bachelor's degree already in hand, and you need to really have several good years of professional work experience. That's work experience post-graduation, and that we would like to see you use your degree in your field of study. So if you love accounting and you go get an accounting degree, we want you to go be an accountant so that you can get several good years of experience. The average age of an agent getting to the FBI Academy is about 30. So we are really looking for really beyond maybe 2 or 3 years. We want folks that have 5, 6, 7 good years of professional work experience doing something outside the FBI maybe. So we're really looking for you to go live your life, get some job experience, and come back to us. This is not a fresh out of college kind of position. It does require you to move. So we do not send our agents back to wherever they process. So in our case, in Omaha, we cover all of Iowa and all of Nebraska as our territory. So you would be required to relocate out of the state. You are a federally sworn law enforcement officer, so you would be required to carry a weapon. You shoot between 3,000 and 5,000 rounds of ammunition at the FBI Academy and become very proficient with shooting it. It is a Glock 19M 9mm semi-automatic pistol, and then you carry that weapon with you when you leave the academy. You qualify 4 times a year with it, and you're really encouraged to carry it all the time. And then we have a fitness test as part of this as well. So you have to be able to pass a physical fitness test, sit-ups, sprint, push-ups, and running several times before you go to the academy, several times at the academy, and then annually as an agent on board in the field. The starting salary for a special agent is about $75,000 a year, and you can be expected to be at about $100,000 a year by your 5-year anniversary. You do get a take-home car, which is nice, and then you'll be assigned to work whatever the field office who gets you as a new agent assigns you to do. You can tell them what you might be interested in working, but for the most part, they're going to put you on a squad working a violation based on the needs of that field office. So I will tell you, I started as a summer hire. I worked in the evidence room in Dallas. I have a speech communication degree from Texas A&M, and I didn't really ever sort of think about the FBI as my path until I was a semester from graduation from college. So I ultimately got a job at the FBI then as a professional staff employee. I pushed a mail cart around, and then I became a surveillance specialist in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for about 4 years, and then I became an agent in May of '99. So I've been an agent now in Omaha for about 21 years. And it's the best job I never knew I wanted until I got it. And now I can't imagine having done anything else. But had I done something sort of stupid in my life that would have kept me from getting hired, I wouldn't be here today. So I want to share with you some of our disqualifiers, hopefully to get you to make some good choices, choose some good friends, and not do something that can keep you from getting hired. So everybody that comes to the FBI, regardless of whether you want to be an intern, a professional staff employee, a special agent, you have to be a US citizen. We cannot hire anyone who is not currently a US citizen. You can't ever have been convicted of a felony. So for the most part, you should avoid any police interaction to the extent that you can, but anyone convicted of a felony is not hireable ever in their lifetime. You have to be really wise with your finances. So we are going to run a credit report on our folks. You can't have filed for bankruptcy. You can't have defaulted on a federally insured student loan. You can't have not paid your taxes. All of that is really important to us. Our drug policy is fairly simple, but this seems to be one that keeps most people from getting hired. You cannot have used marijuana in the last 3 years anywhere in the world in any form or any fashion. We are a federal agency. We still apply federal statute, and it's still illegal federally. So even though it's illegal in some states, you cannot have used it in the last 3 years and be eligible to be hired. You'd have to get beyond your 3-year mark in order to be eligible. The other piece of that is excessive use. So if you are a regular weed smoker, then we won't be able to hire you. Any other illegal drugs goes back 10 years. So you cannot have used any other illegal drug in the last 10 years prior to the date of application, or you will be ineligible until you get beyond the 10-year mark. We also look very closely at folks' prescription drug use or abuse, misuse or abuse. So if you have a prescription for a narcotic pain medication, then you should take it as directed. If you have a prescription for an ADD or ADHD medication like Adderall or Ritalin, then you should take it as directed. If you take it in a manner other than medical guidance given, so you take it to get high, you take extra to stay up, whatever the case may be, if you misuse or abuse it in the last 3 years, we cannot hire you. If you do not have a prescription for any of those medications, you should not be taking them. And if you do, we cannot hire you for 3 years beyond the date that you do that. It is not something that we take lightly, and we lose a lot of especially our college students to the internship because they're taking those drugs in violation of our drug policy. So please, please, please do not take a drug that you do not have a prescription for. If you've ever sold any of your own medication to someone else, then that's going to be an automatic disqualifier and we can't ever hire you. So please keep hold of your own medication. Don't give it away. Don't sell it. Don't take it in anything other than its intended purpose. If you've ever been involved in the drug trade, so manufacturing, distributing, trafficking, storing, whatever the case may be, we're going to look hard at that too for suitability. All males have to register with the Selective Service, and every single applicant who comes to us, intern, professional staff, special agent, every single person has to pass an FBI administered polygraph as well as a drug test to be hired. The other piece that's not on here that I want to just quickly mention is that you have to take a hard look at your social media, because we're going to ask you for all of your social media sites, and we're going to look at them. So as you are getting ready in the next several years to hit send or post or whatever you have to do to launch your stuff out into the social media super world, please know that we're going to look at that. And if it's something that's inappropriate, that expresses bias, that is offensive, expresses hate, all of those things are going to be things that we are going to find unsuitable, and we will not hire you. So please, please, please choose your actions wisely. Pick your friends wisely. If they ask you to do something that you know is not right, please don't go and do it, because 5 or 10 years from now, you might want to work at the FBI, and it will be that person that will have kept you from getting hired. And I guarantee you probably won't even know them back by the time you decide to apply. So just make really good choices so that you hopefully have an opportunity to get hired. The other thing that I would tell you that I think would be important is that there's really no sort of normal day at the FBI. Every day we all come in and we expect maybe that we're going to get something done, and then we end up having to change lanes fairly quickly and go react to something else. So as far as people that we are looking for, we want folks that have exceptional communication skills. We want folks that are good critical thinkers. We want folks who are flexible and adaptable, who can look at a situation and say, oh, I can go do that now, and just go and do it. Collaboration is important to us. We love team players. So make sure that you're developing and honing those sort of soft skills while you're learning and getting your education. And so that is all that I really had for today. But if there's anything else that I can answer for you or you'd like to ask, you are certainly welcome to get in touch with me. My email address is mmstevenson@fbi.gov. Thank you so much for your time.